A lot of people have asked why none of the adults in the home protected me when Alvin Bacon was essaying me when I was a child. And it's a very complex story, and I think the best way to explain it is to give you guys the entire backstory. And I'm going to do that in several parts. Just be mindful that some of this stuff is still going on in real time, and what I mean by that is not the essaying, but the lying, the keeping of secrets, the manipulating. I'm still uncovering secrets. I mean, I just found out something like 5 minutes ago. I'm not even lying. So just be mindful of that. This is going to be your new TV show. Stay tuned. Part one of how I was SA'd by my mother's foster father and how the adults in the home knew but didn't protect me. My mother and father had a terrible upbringing. A lot of secrets, but I could tell you what I heard and I can tell you what my mother has told me. Both of my parents were foster kids. My mother was born to Lillian Simmons. I believe she could possibly have been living in Lakewood, New Jersey. My mother had a lot of other siblings, and it's been rumored that my grandmother, Lillian Simmons, she was severely obese. Supposedly she was over 600 pounds and she could not care for her children. So CPS came in and removed my mom and her siblings from her mom. Once again, the information about my grandparents is information that has been rumored throughout the years. I don't know what's true and what's not. But just getting back into it, now let's move on to my father. My father, supposedly, his mother's name is Rosetta Bennett, but supposedly she was unalived by someone she was with at the time, and all of her children were removed from her and put into foster care. So that's how my mom got into foster care, and that's how my dad got into foster care. So I'm not going to dig too much into their upbringing because I don't have a lot of information about that, but I do want to let you guys know some of the trauma that they've experienced, because that's going to help you guys understand them later on in life. My mother was snatched from her siblings. She had one brother that she was really close to, my Uncle George. I never got to meet him because unfortunately he was unalived by a drunk driver. So that's something traumatic that my mother had to experience. My mother would tell me, growing up in these foster homes, she was abused. She experienced a lot of different things. She ran away from these foster homes. She slept in the woods. I don't know too much about my father's upbringing in foster care. I do know that he was in like a lot of legal trouble, that the police were like always after him. He was always running from the cops. I do know that. So now that you guys have that information, you will understand what happened next, how I ended up in the Bacon's household, because that's the name of the family that took in my mother as a foster child, and that's the family that abused me. My mother was in school and she would tell her best friend Felicia, we call her Lisa, new character. She would tell Lisa that she was really unhappy at her foster home. She didn't want to be there. And then it just so happened that my mother ended up getting pregnant with my older brother. And the foster care mom told her, you have to terminate your pregnancy. And my mom was like, I'm not terminating my pregnancy. The woman told her, like, you can't live here if you're going to be pregnant. So my mom ended up moving in with Lisa. Lisa came from a 2-family home. She had her mom, her dad. They had moved from Jacksonville, Florida to New Jersey. They had bought a house. They had 4 children, 2 boys, 2 girls. The mother worked in childcare. The father worked in law enforcement. They were really like the Cosbys. They had big hearts, and they opened their doors and they allowed my mother to come in. But I'm sure my mother had no idea what they would do to her children.